Welcome to the Richard Lloyd USA YouTube channel. I'm Richard Lloyd. Today I'm going to do a networking video on connecting two routers together using just Wi-Fi. Now, what this is going to allow you to do, and it's really handy, is to expand your network. And in essence, we're going to take two routers and create what they call an access point, and it's going to be a wireless access point which will be able to be used on the LAN ports, which are these ports down here, 4 ports. You'll be able to connect things to that, like a printer or a computer or whatever you wish, or you can connect to it through Wi-Fi as well. So it'll be an access point and Wi-Fi repeater at the same time. So a really neat little configuration for an old router, and reuse an old router in a new way that will save you some money. And access point, current access points are not that cheap, but you know, again, if you got an old router, you don't even need an access point. You can just follow this video and create your own. So let me bring up a diagram of what we're going to be doing here. This is what we got. We've got two routers, and the main router doesn't matter what it is. If whatever your main router is, it's more than likely going to be okay, because I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. You don't really need to configure the main router to do anything other than be what it already is, and that is a Wi-Fi router and a normal network router, which, you know, I would say in most cases this is what we got. So we got a primary router, and it's set in its default settings, and it will be sharing out the internet through either the back ports on it or Wi-Fi, as you see on this picture. And then we're going to Wi-Fi connect it to another router, and the other router doesn't have to be a TP-Link. It could be any one. I'm going to be using this TP-Link, but it doesn't matter. It could be any router as long as it has something called WDS, Wireless Distribution System. Now, if you don't know if your router has this or not, check with your manufacturer and see if it has it, or, you know, go look at your Wi-Fi settings and see if there's a WDS setting there. If there is, you more than likely have WDS. So I'll show you how to connect these two things together. So those are the things that are required. Next thing we need to do is find out what the IP address of your main router is, so we can configure the secondary router to connect to it. Also, what we're going to need is your SSID, which is your username more or less for your Wi-Fi connection, and your password. If you don't know that, then, you know, talk to the person who does and see if you can get that, or you know, log into your router like we're about to do here and look for that information in there. Again, if you don't know how to log into your router, talk to the person who has the password, or, you know, whichever, to get into it. But I'll show you how to get to your router right now. So right now I'm connected to my router primary router through Wi-Fi, which is perfectly fine. And as you can see here, I'm connected. So I'm going to right-click the network icon down here, open network and internet settings. Here we're going to go to change adapter options, and there's a reason why we're going this way. And you can see right here that, you know, Wi-Fi is connected and all the rest are not. But we are going to need, well, I'm going to use it, but you know, you could use Wi-Fi on this, but I don't recommend it. A patch cable like this, a Wi-Fi, Ethernet patch cable like this to connect directly from your computer to your router. If you don't have that, you can go through Wi-Fi, but it's a little trickier. And if your computer does not have a Ethernet port, you can buy a little dongle like this, Ethernet to USB 3 adapter. They're under $15. Again, put the links into this stuff into the video description below. And those are affiliate links, so please use those to help me out. And it won't cost you any more than buying it directly from Amazon or eBay directly. So do me a favor and use those links. And yeah, if you don't have an Ethernet adapter, buy one of these. You can plug it into a PC or into a laptop, and actually I've plugged one of these into my Raspberry Pi and it works just fine too. So basically it gives you an Ethernet port in anything that doesn't have one. Very handy. And you can unplug it when you're done. So we're going to connect to the main router, to the secondary router using a patch cable. Right now we're just checking the IP address for the primary router, so that's going to be found here. So right click your active network connection. If you're on Ethernet, then one of these will be active. It won't have a red X on it. It's the one that doesn't have a red X. So right click it, click status, go to details, and then you'll see the default gateway, which is usually your router. So it's going to be 192.168.0.1 in our case. So we're going to write that down here in Notepad. Move this a little bit out of the way. 192.168.0.1. If you can remember it, that's fine. I'm just taking notes, and basically, you know, you should keep notes on this stuff so that you don't have to go and try and remember it or reset your router or whatever to find out what these things are. Okay, so let's minimize this. Get rid of this for now, and then just minimize the network pages out of the way. So here we have what we're going to use, but first we got to go and see. Let's go take a look at our router. So I'm going to open up a browsing window here to show you how to get to your router. 192.168.0.1. There we go. And there's your login. So on TP-Link's, the default login, if you don't know it, is admin for the username, admin for the password. And if that's what you're using, please change it. It's highly, highly insecure because, hey, you can Google this and find out what the default password is, and then anybody can log into your router. Okay, so change it. If you don't know how, then again, go to your manufacturer's support page. They'll tell you how. So here we are. We're connected. We're on the internet, so on and so forth. Let's go to, well, I guess at this point where we're going to go to is wireless. And here it tells you everything you need to know about your wireless connections. Now, this router is a dual band router. So what it means is it has 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz networks. Why is that relevant? Well, because if you're using, like I am, an old single band router, right, then we won't be able to connect at 5 gigahertz. We can only connect at 2.4 gigahertz. Now, if you have a dual band router, you can still do this with the 5 gigahertz network. You just have to do the settings for it instead of what I'm going to show you here. And that's pretty self-explanatory. Here we'll go to the wireless settings. And you can see here my wireless IDs and stuff, and the numbers that are used for, first of all, SSID, which you're going to need, primary router, all right? And so I'm going to just put that in here. And password is Nacho Network, just for fun. Of course, I'm changing all of these when this video is over. And there we go. So that's for the 2.4 gigahertz network. As you can see, wireless 2.4 here. And if you wanted to use the 5 gigahertz because you have an old band router or dual band router, go ahead, you can do it. So we've got just about everything we need here. Now another thing you may need, so we're going to go get that thing, and that is go here to advanced. And usually there's a status page on every router. Like I said, this works on any router that you have. And in the status page, you're going to have all the information. And you see here that under the 2.4 gigahertz, we have a MAC address. We want this number. So we're going to Control C it. It won't let me right click and copy it, but if you hit the Control key and the C key at the same time, we'll first highlight it and then Control C it. You'll copy it, and then we'll put it back in here. Now, there's a high possibility that you're not going to need any of this information, and I'll show you why. But if your old router has WDS but doesn't have the ability to query your network, you're going to have to manually put these in by hand, right? I'll show you what I mean in a second, but just gather this information. You may or may not need it. If you do need it, then you'll be ready. If you don't need it, then just keep it or do whatever you wish with it. But right now we know that the router is on 192.168.0.1, and we've got the Wi-Fi information to log into that Wi-Fi. In other words, we have the SSID and the password. There we go, right? And the MAC address, which may or may not be necessary for you. So let's minimize this. Let's go take a look at the next diagram. Right, what we're going to do is this, and what we need to do is configure the router to the secondary router to have the right IP address. In my case, it's going to be 192.168.0.2 because my primary is .0.1, okay? And you're pretty safe at using .0.2 as the next number, as most routers don't give out the next number. They give out like 50 numbers in. So, but that's another thing I can show you here quickly. If we go here to what they call DHCP on the primary router, you'll see that the start IP address is 0.100 to 90 or 199. So you've got a total of what, 199, sorry, 99 IP addresses there, but they start at 100. So giving the other router a number below 100 is good. On my Netgear, it starts at, this would say 02. It starts on the next number and then doles them all out. So check that. If it starts on the next number, change that to, like, say, like this, 100, like 99 devices is quite a bit on a router anyway. So we'll leave this alone, but it just a heads up on that. Also, if your router is 192.168.1.1, then in this case, you'd have a 1 here and a 1 here, but the 2 and the 1 would stay this. You would change it to the 192.168.1.2 on your secondary. We're on 0, so we're staying this way, okay? If yours is different, change it, okay? The first 3 numbers have to be the same, or 3 sets of numbers have to be the same on both routers, basically. And the second, or the last set, have to be different. All right, excuse me. So, let's go do all of this. Next thing to do is plug in your router and power it up, which is I'm going to do right now. And we're plugging into the LAN ports. We're not going to be using the internet or WAN port at all. You might want to put a piece of tape over that, stop people from trying to use it, because it won't work. So we're going to plug into one of the LAN ports on this and power it up and go from there. There we go. All right, so it's powering up. And so just so that we don't configure anything on the network that we don't want to configure, let's go down here and just turn off Wi-Fi. Here we go. Wi-Fi is off. Now we'll go back here to your network control connections, and you can see it's identifying and connecting to the Ethernet 3. So that's where this router is connected. Now, next thing you want to do is reset your router, and it's a hard reset. On some routers, there's a dimple. You got to push something in, like a little point of a screwdriver or a pen or something. A toothpick works the best, and you basically hold it down, and it will reset the router. Look at your instructions for yours. On TP-Links, they have a button, and you just basically hold the button down until the lights, Christmas tree, or they all light up and go. So I'll do that right now to reset this router to its defaults. Now you want to do that because you don't want any old configuration sticking around and messing you up. This is a really picky type of configuration, and you saw that all the lights just light and go. It's a picky type of configuration, and you don't want anything off because it won't work. It has to be exact or it doesn't function. Okay, so just reset the router to its factory defaults, and you can see here identifying again. It's going through the boot process here. So here I'm going to hit status as soon as it's done identifying. And I'm going to do a status. Still rebooting. There we go. It's getting its mind straight, basically. All right, status. There we go. Details. You can see that it's on the same IP address. So you can't have two same IP address on the same network. So you can't have a 192.168.0.1 and then have another device with that same number on the same network. It would cause havoc. It will actually knock either one of them out or both of them out. So you don't want that. So we got to change the IP address on this. So we'll do that in a second here. Minimize this. Now we know what IP address it's on, so we just go back to our browser. Here we go. I'm going to open up another tab, leave that one open. I don't really know whether it's necessary, but it doesn't matter. 192.168.0.1. Okay, again, TP-Link, and the default password is admin. Change it. Because we reset it, it's going through the factory configuration that you would get when you first get it out of the box. We're going to hit exit here. We don't need that. All your stats here, and you can see here that it says 0.1. So we're going to change that right away. That'll be the first thing we do. So we go to network, and then we go to LAN. And here, we change this from 0.1 to 0.2, and leave all the rest alone. Save it, yep. And it's going to reboot. We'll restart here. So that's step one. We keep moving. Okay, so Next thing we're going to do is stay connected to it physically, as we are with the cable, all right? And this is part of the reason, because otherwise, you know, Wi-Fi would be getting knocked off, things would be changing, and it would be kind of hard to do. You can do it with Wi-Fi, but it's tricky, right? Primarily because at a certain point here, we're going to turn DHCP off, and then you won't be able to connect to it anymore without it being connected to the other router, which I'll show you in a minute. So we'll wait for this to reboot. Let's see, we're there yet. No, it doesn't look like it. And so next place we're going is over here. Actually, we're going to go to wireless. Okay, so there, it rebooted. So admin again, default password. And we're going to wireless here. And you can see we have, you know, a crazy wireless network name here. You can change whatever your wireless network is. Just leave it the way it is. I'm going to change this here. Something fun. There we go. Save that. And I'm putting that there just so that it's easy for everybody to know what we're dealing with. And okay, so we've saved that. It's good. Here we're going to go to wireless security. And you can see everything here is on auto, just like yours probably would be. Here on wireless security, we're going to need a password. So I'm going to use there we go. Like nachos. There you go. And let's go back to wireless settings again. So basically, I've just set up the Wi-Fi network that we're going to connect to with any device that we want to connect to this router with. Okay, that's the configuration we just did. So you have to do that. Whatever you want to call your Wi-Fi network, whatever you want to give it a password, first do that so that you know, and write that down. In my case, it would be natural Wi-Fi and natural chips. So we'll go easy Wi-Fi. Second router. So that's natural Wi-Fi, and case is important. Okay, so if you uppercase the Wi-Fi, make sure you uppercase this. And same with the password. I didn't do any of that. So if you go here to wireless security again, you see, oh yeah, I did put a capital N on it. So I'm going to copy that by Control C. And there's the username or SSID and the password. And next, we're going to go here to back to wireless settings. And here we're going to click Enable WDS Bridging. There we go. Now, see what it says? It says, I need an SSID to be bridged. So you would think, oh, it's this one up here. No, that's this router. What we're doing is connecting this router as a client to the other router and then sharing it out. So we need the SSID to be bridged from the other router, and I think I wrote that down. Yes, I did. SSID is primary router. Case is important, so we'll put that in there. Right? Control and V. So if you can't right click because it's a security thing, to paste, just to hit your keyboard Control and V, and then it says IP address to be bridged. So we go here, as we have the BSSID, and as it shows you here, it's this type of number. It's a MAC address, so we're going to copy it. Copy it here, Control V it here, right? And of course, we're going to need a password at that point too. Okay. Now that's the hard way to do it. Here's the easy way to do it. If you have a survey button right here, you can use that and bypass all of that. So let's do the survey and I'll show you that. So click on survey. The router is going to sniff every access point around you and find relevant ones. And in our case, there's primary router right there with the BSSID in it. So here we're going to hit connect, and it will fill in all this information for you, which is way easier. But again, if you don't have the survey button, do what I showed you the other way. Okay. Now, key type WPA, WPA2, PSK. That is what the security on the other router is set to. Your router on the other side is set to something else. It'll probably choose something else. If you're doing it manually, well, just check your other router and see how it's set. Now, I can't look at that other router right now, but I will be in a minute, and I'll show you that too. But again, this key type has to be the same on both routers, and I'm going to put the password in here, which I've written down, which is not your network, right? So we'll put that in there. And Control V, there we go. Or type it in, it doesn't matter. And save, and watch what happens. 192.168.0.2 channel cannot be auto while WDS bridging is enabled. Do you want to change the channel to a bridged apps channel? Here you say yes or okay. We're going to do that. We hit okay. And it changes the channel here to 1, which means the channel on the primary is 1 as well. So, saved. Now, at this point, we basically are almost done. What we want to do next is come over here to DHCP, and you can check, like right now we're actually connected to the other router, and I'll show you how to check that. In this router, you go to status, and if you see down here, it says WS status run, and run means we're connected. And if you look over here under WDS, WDS status, so the status of the WDS connection. Init means connection is down. Scan is trying to find the app. Auth, trying to authenticate. Associate, to associate, trying to associate. Run, associated successfully. Here we have run, so we're already associated. But there's one more thing to be done here. We got to go over here to DHCP, and we have to disable DHCP, because now we have two DHCP servers on the same network, and that's mayhem. You never want that. So go to DHCP, disable your DHCP, and click Save. Not take effect until it reboots. Now, it's going to reboot, and it's going to kick us off of it when that happens. So let's click here to reboot. Reboot again. Okay. And it's going to reboot, kicking us off the network. Now, notice down here that I got a little globe. Not connected, no connections available, right? True, we're rebooting, so we'll wait for that router to come back up. And when it comes up, we're going to be connected to the router through a LAN port with an Ethernet cable. And at that point, we should be able to see the other router and surf the internet at the same time, because we're connected to a bridge or an app, well, basically a wireless repeater or a wireless app, which will give us access to both those things. So wait for this to reboot, and then we'll test it out. There we go. So notice that it has the IP address correct, 192.168.0.2. That's good. And we got an IP address. Something gave us an IP address. The DHCP on that router is turned off. So, you know, obviously something's giving us an IP address, or we wouldn't be able to get to this page. And I'll show you what I mean down here. Right click the network icon, hit on status and details, and you see that we have an IP address of 192.168.0.184. Okay, so we continue on here, hit close on that, and we're connected at 100 megabits. So back to this. So here we're going to type in admin and log in. And here you can see all our stats, and you can see that WDS status run is on. So we're connected. The bridge is made. The app is already configured. So let's go over here. Let's go to the first router. We should be able to see all that stuff at this point. Let's go to wireless settings on the first router. See, it works. Admin. We're in. So this router is now an access point to the other router, which I have over here. So hopefully I can reach it and show it to you. This is a dual channel TP-Link. One of my favorites, Archer C9 version 1. Works great, love it. I've actually got 2 of them. And it allows you to connect with WDS, but any router will. You don't need WDS on the primary router, just on the second. So you can see we're connected, and if we open up another window here, we'll go to, I don't know, Let's go to Google, I guess, or YouTube. No, let's keep it simple. Google. There. And it makes a liar out of me, but let's try that again. I more than likely have configured this router to do one thing. Oh, no, there it is, 0.2. Okay. Let's just... Love it when it does this, actually, because it shows you something. Let's disable it. Enable it. Should give us a 192.168.0.1 IP address on the router. And you can see it's just changed it to primary router. So, I mean, I did it that way. You could just disconnect the cable from the back and reconnect the cable on the back. So Windows just didn't let go of the IP address. Go to Status, Details, and you can see all that has changed, right? So, close that off. Go back over here. Try the Google search again. And you can see we're surfing. We're connected. But we're not done yet. Even though we are connected and everything's cool, let's connect to that same AP using Wi-Fi. So I'm going to disconnect the LAN cable, and you can see there that we've got nothing connected. And if you look over here under the network configuration page, it's all blank because there's nothing connected. So here we're going to connect to Wi-Fi. So we're going to click on the Wi-Fi button here, and we're going to connect to not the primary router, but to Nacho Wi-Fi, right? And the password is Nacho Chips with a capital N, so I forgot that. Case is important on these. There we go. I'm getting hungry. Next. Wait for that configure. Boom. We're in. Connected, secured. You know, and we have, I know I have internet right now, but regardless, we'll go check. The reason I know it because it says, doesn't say, when it says connected, secured, it's already checked if you've had internet. If you didn't, it would tell you. So let's go search for, I don't know, Nacho Libre. That's a funny movie. There we go. We're rocking. We're connected to the internet, and as you saw, that was fairly zippy, right? So at this point, I should be able to still connect to my original router. There we go. Now, if you get this router, it only allows one administrator to log in. I've had this happen when I went from the LAN connection to the Wi-Fi because it thinks you're connecting twice to it. Just hit the, just reset the router by powering it off and then powering it back on again. Now, wait a second. While all this is basically going to drop the connection. I would think it would. I just repowered the router. And then we'll connect to it again. So again, went back to the primary router because that's the way Windows works. It looks for the nearest one that's working. Yeah, it's not booted yet. Let's go. One more shot here. There it is. So we'll connect to that again. And then I'm going to refresh this page, and that gets rid of the error. And here we just go admin. And, you know, just to show you, this is the router we're connected to. No wires in it at all. It's connecting through Wi-Fi. Isn't that beautiful? And, by the way, when this is active and you've got this working, you can connect anything you want to these LAN ports here, and it will be connected to your primary router through Wi-Fi. Oops, sorry, my camera just, you know, stopped filming for some unexplained reason. But regardless, you'll be able to connect through any of these ports back here. The LAN ports, not the WAN or internet port. And you'll also be able to connect through Wi-Fi as well. And, you know, beautiful thing about that is you can do this again and basically cascade another one onto this one by following the procedure. But I may do another video on how to do 2 access points off of each other, and each extends the range from the primary router, right? So basically, you know, giving you another, I don't know, they say maximum 350 feet, but I've never seen that. So, you know, I'd say 100 feet to be really conservative. But regardless, it does extend your network to other things, and anything you plug into the LAN ports will work perfectly. okay? Like if they were plugged into your main router. So that's it for my video. If you like this video and it helped you out in some way, give me a big thumbs up at the bottom down there. Like it, share it. Also, if you find my content helpful and want to see more of my videos, please consider subscribing or subscribe. There's the subscription button on the bottom, as well as one at the end of the video with a picture of me. Just click on that and you'll be subscribed. As part of that process, make sure you hit the bell icon. That gives a notification to you every time I put up a new video, and then you can watch it at your own your leisure. Once again, stay healthy, stay happy, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.